Thank you again for joining us. My name is Jackie Marino, and I am a student recruitment officer at the University of Notre Dame, Australia. And we have two very special guests with us tonight. As you can see there, the title for this presentation is Level Up in Postgraduate Business. So you will hear about our postgraduate programs at Notre Dame from our academic leaders, from both Professor Catherine Whelan, who is our Dean School of Business, and she has over 2 decades of experience in higher education. Her background is actually accounting, and she has a lot of experience in the academia as well. Same thing goes for Dr. Annette. Thank you so much, Annette, for joining us tonight as well. Thank you both again for putting this presentation together and for being here. So we're gonna get started, and I'll just go through the next slide right now. So why choose Notre Dame University? We are a direct entry university. So this basically means, guys, that you will not find us at UAC. We prefer to have that this way because we genuinely care about our students in the way that we take a holistic approach to the way we do the admissions. So we are not just interested in your academic records, but we are also interested, obviously, in who you are as a person. So what you've done in the past in terms of sports, or obviously in terms of your work. So where you have worked, what's your experience, and even your community involvement. That is also very important to us. So you will be treated as a person and not just a number. You'll obviously learn from experts who have a lot of experience in their area of teaching, such as Catherine and Annette here with us tonight. And obviously there's a big progress to research degrees in business, especially because this is our area tonight. And this can be studied fully online. This is the main and most important thing to mention in this presentation. You can do this tonight because we know that as professionals, sometimes it's really hard to just attend lessons face to face when we have a full-time job, which might be the case for most of you. So for now, I'll stop talking and I'll let Dr. Annette go ahead, and you'll hear from me later on in this presentation. Thank you, Dr. Annette.
Thank you, Jackie, and welcome everyone. What I'd like to do is just give a bit of context to why study business, but also how we do it at the School of Business too. So let's look at, how do we do it at the School of Business at Notre Dame, and then we'll lead into the specific programs that are on offer at the school. So leading on from what Jackie mentioned, that, acknowledging you as an individual is something really important to how we work at Notre Dame. So our classes remain small, and therefore we can tailor them to your particular interests. Everyone at the School of Business has had a professional career as well as an academic career. So you have this link to industry. And so therefore we ensure and endeavour to remain current to the needs and the events of what we see happening in business today. And on that note, when we do look at studying business today, it's interesting that, even in the context of the pandemic, that the important things are being highlighted in preparing for a business career is one that is focused on these human-based skills. And so when doing your postgrad degree, it's that humanness that comes through in what we're doing. In response to the need to be agile. So generative thinking, having good communication skills, but also this idea of service. And it's very topical because we see that PwC, Deloitte, and these other leading organisations are recognising the importance of being of service. So for instance, a report from Deloitte's talked about head, hand and hearts. And we know globalization, automation and artificial intelligence are changing the way we work. But what we do know is those jobs of the heart, the ones that can't be automated, will be the ones that will remain, despite having careers that we change every 4 years, despite technology being obsolete within 5 years, despite that human resource practices are constantly changing. So in response to all this agility or this need to be agile and this change, this idea of these human-centered skills are really important for your success in business. So on that note, what I'd like to do is talk about the programs on offer, and Professor Whelan will join me at the end just to wrap up and provide an overview of these programs. But I'll just quickly go through what these look like. These are nested in that you can start with one of these, the certificates or the diploma, but also lead then into the masters. So if I look at firstly the graduate certificate in Catholic leadership, this is one that really does focus on service. It is one that looks at how do you lead, how are you a leader that serves others? And so and it's an interesting course because it is in partnership with the School of Theology. And if I was to break down the program, you'll see that we look at things like ethics in business. We'll look at mission identity. And this course enables you to bring forth a different approach to what it means to be of service and a leader in your organisation. So what we find, principals in private schools, those in hospitals, but also in the not-for-profit sector that have a very strong purpose or mission focus, find relevance in doing such a program like this. It's available part-time and there are 4 courses that are done in a year. Again, all of these are online and they're in 5-week modules. And during these 5 weeks, you'll have the opportunity to do some live interactions with your peers as well as your academics, but also the coursework will be done in a way that you can do it at your own pace within those 5 weeks through discussion forums and a variety of other resources that will become available to you. Some of the academics that are involved in this course are well known in the field, one being based in Scotland who's been working within the School of Business as an adjunct for many years. So you have a wealth of experience that is brought to the table in this program. Then there's the certificate in business. Again, this is one that would help you if you were specialising, say, as a physio, had your own business, were on the tools in some way, but wanted to create a different career path for yourself, or wanted to take the next step in your leadership role within an organisation. This program is 1 year part-time or half year full-time. And the only required course would be accounting for managers, but then you have the opportunity to design your own program in looking at various courses, whether that could be a marketing course, it could be a comms course, it could be a variety of others, but you would only do 3 elective courses. And there is flexibility to design something that suits your career here. And then the graduate diploma, which is the next step up from your graduate certificate in business. So with the graduate diploma in business, it's an additional few courses that you would need to do. It looks at human resources, it looks at this idea of innovation and entrepreneurship, all of those themes that I talked about at the start of today. So in a snapshot, the program summary would look at also accounting. This is a really important skill. We all work for organisations, and accounting is something that we should be able to understand at a fundamental level. Strategic management and planning. Again, this ethical idea is something really strong through all the programs that are offered in the school. But again, it fits with what we're seeing that industry is saying is important to us. And then you have 4 elective courses, again providing you the opportunity to design the program to fit your career. MBAs have been around for a long time, and MBAs are great, particularly when you are on that promotion track. They also, though, prove to be quite useful for its network that it provides, like all studies, but also the time out to reflect upon what you're doing in your leadership role now. And that's one beauty of universities. It provides you that space to reflect upon your leadership, your management skills, and what works and what do you need to fine tune in your career. So there's a whole range of subjects or courses that we offer in our MBA. And a couple that I'd like to highlight are business analytics. Data has become so important in today's business. So the way we use data and the way we obtain data is particularly important to how we make decisions. As a leader, being a strategic thinker, that generative thinking that I spoke about at the start is also really important. And then leading change. If anything, we've learned about things don't remain constant as we've gone through the last 3 months of our lives with the pandemic. So being a leader in and navigating organisations in times of change is an important skill set for someone in business. And then we again have 4 electives that you have the opportunity to choose from, again, helping to create a program that fits your needs. And then finally, what I'd like to outline to you is an 18-month program of a Masters of Leadership. Now, the Masters of Leadership differs to a MBA, and it differs in the way that this is much more focused upon this theme of leadership and organisations, compared to an MBA, which is a much more tactical approach to the way that you would work in organisations. So you are focusing on things like negotiation skills. There is, of course, themes of leading change, like we've talked about before. And the other unique bit here is the research project that you're able to take on in this program of works. So this will enable you to take on a project potentially in your organisation, and you could do a deeper dive and really apply the learnings of your masters into your organisation. As alluded to at the start of today's presentation, Jackie talked about how businesses are really keen to see how postgrads are relevant or apply to organisations. So the Masters of Leadership provides that opportunity, particularly in that last project that is offered in the Masters of Leadership. There are 3 streams that you would look at, and you can see them on your screen here, such as a business specialisation, where you're looking at economics, marketing and accounting, or you could do a liberal arts stream attached to the Masters of Leadership, and that's this ethics, philosophy and theology focused. But another option is if you were to start in for instance, the Catholic Leadership, some of those courses could be applied to the Masters of Leadership also. So it's that nested approach that I talked about at the start of today's presentation. When it comes to the requirements to these courses, they all vary. Yes, Jackie.
Can I please interrupt you for a second? This is just because some prospective students have these questions regarding the Masters of Leadership.
Yes.
So what if they wanted to take this stream of ethics, theology and philosophy, But instead of doing, say, for example, theology, they wanted to do marketing. Would that be possible or not at all?
So so what's required is those. So you're saying ethics. They do
Marketing and philosophy, for example.
Yeah, so there is the opportunity where the dean can approve these variety of mixes. So absolutely, that's a potential opportunity there for the student.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annette.
No troubles.
Sorry for the interruption.
I see a couple of questions coming through. So before I jump into how or eligibility to enroll, are there any other questions that around the courses, Jackie, that you'd like me to address?
Well, Yoli here, who has joined us, she was asking how is the course assessed? So obviously I said that it's coursework, but if you want to elaborate on this, please, that would be great, Dr. Annette. Thank you.
Absolutely, Jackie. And I was going to do that after, but I'll do that now. So the coursework is a variety of different ways. So most of the assignments are reports or projects that are applicable to your workplace. So if I was to take one, say for instance, organisations, power, leadership and transformation, that coursework entails 2 pieces of work that is very relevant to the organisation that you're within. If you're not working at the time, you could draw upon experience in other organisations, but we do encourage you to look at where you're working now and how you can apply your learning. So it has real applicability. So that could be for instance, a project that you'd like to implement. There's some reflective learning too. So keeping journals and reflecting upon your learning is another strategy that that occurs through the program. But there's also other activities such as doing various, I suppose, using management tools like a 360 or those sorts of things, where you can start reflecting upon yourself as a leader and learning not only about content, but also learning about yourself. And that's something that's really important that we know from the literature is a theme in business today, that it's not just about being the content expert, but having that self-awareness of what kind of leader you are and how do you engage with others is really important. So there's a lot of that kind of work that happens in the programs too.
Can I just jump in there and add something for the coursework? Everything Annette's saying, absolutely true. If we go back to the MBA, for example, as Annette alluded to earlier, there's sort of a foundation of courses of sort of business content knowledge that you need. So things like economics for managers, accounting for managers, marketing, even the managerial finance, some of those sort of really sort of business foundation courses. In addition to projects, there will actually be some more traditional quizzes and tests just to make sure you've got those absolute fundamentals that you can then apply in some of the more advanced subjects toward the end of the degree. So I guess the thing is it will vary very much on the discipline. And obviously things like accounting and finance and business analytics are a lot more quantitative. It's a little hard to reflect too much on the journal entries you've made, or so it's going to be a varied approach that will alter. But we are very cognizant of the fact that most of the students are working. They're not going to be overburdened with with extensive assessment items, particularly given we're offering the courses in these shorter 5-week blocks. So just so you know, there'll be a bit of variation, but as much as we can, we try to relate it back to what you're doing in the workplace.
Thank you, boy. Thank you for that clarification. Very important.
Are there any other questions that are coming through, Jackie, that you'd like us to look at?
I believe that was it. We still have Lindy Wee connected and someone else just connected. So if you want to let us know, Lindy Wee, what's your interest in particular later when we finish, that would be great. And we can obviously, ask any specific questions that you may have. We are not going to take that long anymore. So thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. So on the screen each time I have on the slides entry requirements. And so for instance, with the MBA, it's a recognised undergraduate course, but also we know that people are transitioning at the moment through their careers. So experience is something that we also look for. And so there is some flexibility in the way you can enrol, and Jackie will talk about the enrolment process at the end. But what I'd like to say is that putting forward a really sound application with outlining your experience is something that we'd encourage you to do. And if I go to the Master of Leadership, you'll see that experience is something that we're looking for here in terms of enrolling in these courses. There is also the ability or the opportunity for some recognition of prior learning. And this is people without formal qualifications who have at least 10 years industry experience. So when you are looking at these programs of work, don't underestimate what you've learned in your place of work, because that will also be considered in your application to Notre Dame. Before I go on to the enrolment program, process rather, are there any questions around the programs?
So far, so good. Lindy, you are most welcome to unmute yourself if you want to let us know anything. I think so far, so good.
I don't have so far, so good, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
So, to study online, it's really simple. It's as simple as how you've joined us today on Zoom. And so the technology that we've used at Notre Dame is user-friendly, but most importantly, our academics are approachable and accessible. So you won't be left with a series of readings and assessments to do, that you will have weekly contact with your academic in a way that suits and fits a lifestyle of a busy professional, but provides you with that guidance to help you, so you don't feel that you are lost by yourself and having to navigate the content by yourself. So plenty of community is built online, and I think that's probably one thing that we've seen, particularly in the last 6 months, where universities have been required to go online. Notre Dame has remained really true to continuing to build the community amongst students and academics, to help students through their studying and their experience online. Jackie, would you like to outline the next few slides?
Of course. Thank you so much, Annette. Definitely. So as Annette was saying before, we do take this approach, and our university focuses a lot on the student. That's actually one of our objects in the university, to provide pastoral care to our students, which means to really create a community and to really make them feel close to each other, even when we are studying online, and even through these circumstances, and even through COVID-19. So how do we do that? Dr. Annette as well, she mentioned that if you outline in your application who you are and what you've done, that's really, really important. We do look at in most of these graduate certificates, and obviously if you want a direct entry to the Master of Leadership or the Master of Business Administration, it would be great, and we would be looking forward to seeing your your undergraduate degree, so for instance a bachelor's degree. But there have been some exceptions where upon approval of the dean, if you have sufficient experience in the field and you can prove that you could start, for example, with a graduate certificate of business, even if you have not completed a bachelor's degree, that could actually happen, that could be feasible. So it's it's on a case-to-case basis, I would say. And this is because again, we're not part of UAC, so we do have physically on our campus a team of, our admissions team. They make sure that they look after your application one-on-one. They read what you submit, and this is the great thing about Notre Dame. You're not just a number. So the way that you apply is just through our website. So you go online to notredame.edu.au, and we would obviously want to see your transcripts and any additional supporting documentation. So this might be, for instance, your resume, or you can also submit a personal statement if you wish to do so. Some people actually do that. There are some specific master's degree that they obviously need further. They need more. We need to know more about you as a person. So if you consider that that what you're submitting is relevant, for instance, it can even be a recommendation from your current employer, perhaps. We can accept those as well. So the step number 2 is obviously our admissions department. They go through what you have submitted and they will correspond with you. The turnover is normally 4 weeks, considering that we don't have a deadline as such, but we do have 2 semesters in the year. So our second semester starts on the 27th of July. So if you wanted to start any of these degrees in July, you would need to basically submit your application on the second week of June at the latest, just so that so we can make sure that we assess that application and we get back to you with an outcome in time for you to start this degree. And at the end, well, step number 3, of course, is you will hear back from us with an outcome, and this can be, an offer, hopefully, or any other sort of communication, or admissions might get back to you and say, they need further documents, etc. This is the way we communicate with you, obviously via email. Because the great thing is that you can apply online, and after you apply online, you will receive an email from our admissions team, so you can actually follow up on your application through that email that is provided. So how can you connect with us, guys? Basically, we are online. Again, we do like to take part of these social media platforms because they're very handy. They come in very handy, especially on these days. And so you can find us obviously on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, which I must say is a very it's a great network. It has worked for me in the past. So I'm a believer of LinkedIn and well, other fun stuff that you can obviously find on YouTube regarding our online campus tours and this type of thing. You can have a look on those platforms, and this would be the preferred way to go. So if you shoot us an email on studyonline@nd.edu.au, that'd be great. You also have the phone numbers right there on your screen. And I just want to read this quote from one of our business students. He said, "The best part of being a student at Notre Dame is knowing that you have the opportunity to receive additional guidance from your lecturers." I believe that's very important, just like Dr. Annette and Catherine were mentioning before. We do look after you in every possible way, and the lecturers are really approachable. Proof of that is that they're here with us. I know they are very, very busy, and they made time to be with us tonight just to go further in detail about how these programs work. So we do thank you for being here.